Have you ever thought to yourself, you know what, I can do that. That's easy. Surely it's not that hard, right? Surely it's simple. It's easy to make. They just get it from the asset store. For most gamers, there comes a time, at least one time in their life, where they think to themselves, okay, today is the day that I make that AAA open world RPG experience with fully customizable characters, branching dialogue options with a different ending, even if you said one sentence differently at the beginning of the game, and it's going to shatter this gaming industry, this dying gaming industry. These developers won't know what hit them. Ever since I've got my grubby little 3-year-old hands on a console remote, I remember just falling in love with gaming. I absolutely loved it. The earliest game that I can remember is Halo 1, specifically my older brother playing it while I was in the closet, and there was a little TV in the closet with it's really hard to explain. Only me, God, and my brothers will know what I'm talking about. But anyways, that moment solidified my love for gaming in my life, which eventually would lead me to picking the career choice I have as a programmer. I remember being in 5th grade when I thought to myself, yeah, I think I would like to make one of these interactive thingies. I remember looking up a video and finding a niche video on early YouTube from Tornado Twins about this weird thing called Unity. I don't know what that is, but it looks pretty awesome. I need to get my hands on it.
And the cool part is that the basic version is now free. It used to be $100 to get started with this, but now it is free, so everybody can basically have a go with this.
At the time, however, there was not nearly as many resources for Unity as there is today. Like, there's an overabundance of resources to learn Unity, and I didn't even know what programming was at the time, so I was not starting there. This was not a good starting point for 5th grade me. So me needing to dip my feet into shallower waters led me to find Platinum Arts Sandbox, an open source video game engine created by Michael Tomino, Kevin Meyer, and Thomas Ochner. And Mike, if you are watching, I'm sorry if I pronounce your last name wrong. I know some other people have gotten it wrong as well. How do you pronounce your last name? I can't pronounce it. Now I'm going to be going into some technical terms in this here video, but not to worry, dear viewer, I will make it as painless as possible. Platinum Arts Sandbox is actually based on the free and open source Cube 2 engine, the same engine that powers the game Cube 2, Sauerbraten, a first-person shooter that I may review on this channel one day. The game itself has a level editor, which is exactly what Platinum Arts Sandbox forked over and turned into a fully fledged game creator, which is pretty awesome. And while this isn't any Unity or Unreal Engine, this piece of software is pretty impressive for what it can do. Luckily for us, it actually has a lot of test maps that we can check out. Currently I'm using version 2.8.2, which still has the original tutorial map called Village. I was familiar with this one primarily. It actually looks like they added a few upgrades, like there's NPCs walking around everywhere, all of them talk, at least they say something. There's a whole ass wizard tower over there. That wasn't in the original map when I played. That's awesome. Mind you, I was initially drawn to this in 2008 by this video uploaded on Michael's channel. No, not me, you idiots, the other Michael who made this thing. Man, look how different this video looks. If there's anything that reminds me of the dreadful existence of time, it's this video. I'll be keeping the grass on for this video. Sorry, Mike. After walking around the village, I managed to find the village elder, and naturally I'm drawn to attack him and take his place, but let me tell you, he's not having any of it. Oh, well, look who it is. A nice young man. Come to see the village elder and see what he has to offer. Fine, if I can't kill him, then who can I kill? Luckily for me, there just happens to be a secluded area in the distance where nobody will witness me commit murder. But first, I guess it would be worthwhile to get the quest from the village baker. We have to collect some apples for him. It's actually kind of insane to see a full dialogue system implemented in something like this. Normally this costs like, what, $10 on the Unity Asset Store, right? What was I doing again? Oh, that's right. I was gonna murder someone. Making my way up to the tower, I felt my heart rate increase. I was about to take another man's life. I would appear as a friend, feigning ignorance and appearing weak until dealing the final blow. He truly was no match for me. But the bloodlust doesn't end there, folks, because I went on a rampage slaughtering all the civilians in the village. Oh my god, he took away a lot of health. The village is honestly a perfect demo map for showcasing what's possible with Platinum Arts Sandbox. Of course, it doesn't end there. There's also an FPS module that offers gameplay similar to how Cube 2 is. It's very Quake-esque, so I'm vibing with it. It's been a while since I played Quake. Of course, there's plenty of other maps like Save the Princess 2, which tests your platforming skills, very unfairly I might add. Do you really think that I was gonna make this jump and makes all these jumps for that long? This is an unfair level. It's pretty bad. There's also Mystaria, which showcases some pretty awesome low lighting along with cutscenes. That's pretty epic. Now, a lot of these maps are older, obviously, but it just has that charm about them, that older game charm that just itches the right amount of nostalgia for me in my head. A train map has to be my absolute favorite when it comes to this, because there's just something about this that makes me feel good inside. I love when games look like this. But instead of hearing me gush over me being a gaming boomer, how about we actually make a game? We'll check out the game that I made. I made a game, right? Not one of those developers. Well, while I was messing around, I happened to be listening to the Deus Ex soundtrack and ended up creating this little section of what was originally supposed to be a city. But this took a good chunk of time to create. Making structures in Platinum Arts Sandbox is pretty easy, and adding textures and ramps is pretty easy too, provided that you know the keyboard macros to do so. Now, you can go to the Platinum Arts Sandbox wiki, but I honestly didn't know this existed until I really started looking, and frankly, it's not the greatest documentation in my opinion. But let me state that I am no way expecting this to be on the same level as, say, Unity documentation, but I think a big thing that really played towards the downfall of this piece of software is the lack of direction and guidance. I know Mike mentioned that he was in talks to create Sandbox version 3 from his most recent video, and I really hope that if they do decide to do that, that they just add a little bit more guidance or a little bit more direction, or make it clearer in some sort of way, especially towards newcomers that really don't know how to create games to begin with, people who don't really know what programming is all about. This will be great for people to dip their toes into game development and create the things that they want to create. Now, of course, easier said than done, completely understand, but hey, I'll help out. I'll help you out. I'll build something for you. Now, I mentioned programming. What sort of programming? That's a pretty vague term. What programming language are you going to create? Well, for Platinum Arts Sandbox, they used something called CubeScript. And dear Heavenly Father, I thought programming in Java sucked. Hoo-wee. I have never experienced pain until now. No, I don't like Java. Sorry, I don't know what it was like when Oracle didn't have it, but once they got their dirty little toes all over it, it's been awful. I don't like Java. Give me C++ any day. Hell, give me JavaScript and its 10 million libraries and make me do web dev for the rest of my life. I don't care, but God forbid if you make me do Java, my head is going to explode. Now, CubeScript has a couple little quirks that I really despise and I really don't like. It's really not that big a deal. It just really irks me. And in order to show you that, I'm going to have to give you a little crash course on programming to show you exactly what I mean. This little snippet of C# code will write the word hi to the console, wait 5 seconds, and then write hi again to the console. The console.readline is really only there to get user input. The only reason this exists is so the console doesn't automatically close after it prints out hi again. Anyways, this is pretty self-explanatory, right? Running this will give us exactly what we want. Simple, clean, elegant programming. Love it. However, with CubeScript, this same piece of code transforms into this amalgamation. Now tell me, which one would you rather look at? I'm sorry, using brackets instead of braces is absolutely bonkers. I'm losing my mind over it. And I'm sorry, why am I grouping print statement again after calling for sleep for 5 seconds? I don't understand that. What's going on with that? My head hurts with all this nerd shit, McNilo, make it stop! Alright, fine, I was going to tell you about the if statement syntax, but since you want to complain, I'll move on with the video. Realistically, learning an entirely new scripting language was out of the scope of this video, but I did manage to get something working for you guys. In all seriousness, using CubeScript is a huge drawback for Platinum Arts Sandbox compared to something like Unity, which uses C#, which is miles more pleasant to use. I don't blame that on the creators of Platinum Arts Sandbox, however. There's absolutely nothing they could have done to change that, just because that's the language that the Cube 2 engine uses. It's just a shame that that's the case, because if this was literally anything else, boy, I'd be churning out games like there's no tomorrow. Despite all of that though, this is extremely impressive coming from just 3 individuals. Like, this is also just a really smart way to introduce kids into game development, you know, really pique their interest, get their creativity up. This is a good way to have them see if this is something they want to do when they get older. Hell, I wish I could have used this when I was in 5th grade. That would have been awesome. And while this was initially designed to, you know, be a teaching tool for kids, I honestly think this is a great way to show adults game creation, kind of dip their toes in as well. This really does need some updates, but once it gets those little tweaks, you know, ironed out, I think it'd be perfect. I think it'd be wonderful. And I'll be honest, this looks way more inviting to a newbie game dev than it would be to just immediately hop into Unity or hop into Unreal Engine. I know some people are against that. They say that you should really just go ahead and jump into the bigger software and learn that from square one, but I have to disagree. Sometimes you need easier programs to learn the fundamentals before you can get into something more complicated. Because once you start getting into the more complicated stuff, you're going to ignore the fundamentals. Take being a film editor, for example. I didn't start with Adobe Premiere Pro. I started with Windows Movie Maker, and that eventually led me to create stuff with Adobe Premiere Pro. But would I have gotten as far had I just hopped into Premiere Pro? Probably not. I don't know, that's how I think you should approach something whenever you're learning something new, especially something as complex as, say, video editing or game developments, things like that. You really need to learn the basics first, get something easy churned out before getting to the more complicated stuff. Just my 2 cents, maybe you have another opinion. I'd love to hear it. You know, I noticed a couple of other YouTube videos talking all this mess about, oh, well, you know, why don't they just do this? This is so easy to add. They should have just added this. It's not that hard.
Don't say that. Don't you ever say that again.
Trust me, I get it, fellas. Everything seems so simple to do until you actually do it. These guys have created an incredible program. Does it have flaws? Absolutely. But realistically, if you're going into this thinking that this is going to be something as deep as Unreal Engine, you've got another thing coming. So with all that being said, it would be an incredible disservice not to mention Mike and his other ventures, like his How to Be a Superhero book and his Doom 3 mod, Last Man Standing. There's also Kevin Meyer, otherwise known as Hiroto Kirata. Sorry if that's, I really don't know how to say these names, I'm sorry. He made a lot of the tutorial maps showing us what is actually possible with Platinum Arts Sandbox. And of course, Thomas Ochner, otherwise known as Off Tools, another developer that did a lot of the work for the software. It seems like he's left the project since at least 2014. I'm not sure where he is now, but there's a couple of things I found, nothing concrete. But if any of you guys are watching, let me say from one developer to another, I sincerely appreciate your work. I think it is phenomenal. I think you guys did a fantastic job. You guys and your awesome software was a big part of my life and is one of the pushes that I needed to eventually get myself into programming. I just didn't know it back then. By the way, I swear to God, if you need help with Sandbox 3, please contact me. I'm here, brother. I'm going to be leaving links down in the description and pinned comment for everything mentioned here, including the Platinum Arts Sandbox Discord link. If you want to join that, I think it'd be awesome. I've left out a lot that is actually included with this program, including the machinima model, which is, I don't even know how many people know what machinima is anymore, but if you do, hey, +1 for you. That's awesome.
Sometimes when you've killed a guy, it's like you're so hacked off, all you can do is rub your nuts on him.
But you should definitely download the software, try it out yourself, and hey, maybe, you know, get the forums back up and running, because every time I go there, it's sad. It's very sad. It makes me cry. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video, you guys. If you liked what you saw and want to see more like it, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Until next time, I'm gonna go slam my head into the floorboards. See you later.